system from Polkadot to others. Yeah, this is what we would like to make. And also, Asta is the right now go-to-market layer 1 blockchain in Japan. So I would like to highlight what we are doing in Japan. So Japanese government last year made Web3 as a national strategy. So politicians and also a lot of the big companies are really eager to push Web3 in Japan right now. The reason is simple. In my opinion, Japan used to be #1 in terms of electronic goods or maybe car, but we completely lost in Web2. We don't have a Alibaba, we don't have a Tencent, right? So we completely lost in Web2. But elderly people knows the age of the Japan was #1. So they would like to push Web3, and they would like to make a world-class product from Japan. It's like leapfrog, right? We skip Web2 from Web1, or even before. And the NTT Docomo, which is the NTT Group is the 3rd largest company in Japan, announced a $4 billion investment in Web3. And they're gonna make wallet, and they're gonna make exchanges, and they're gonna make custody, and so on. And as you can see here, Asta is the one with the partner. And this is the shareholder meeting of NTT Docomo. And the CEO mentioned that Asta is the leading chain in Japan. And second one is Sony. We are working really closely with Sony right now. And we kicked off a Web3 incubation program between Asta and Sony. And by using Sony's internal resource and Asta's technology, we're gonna incubate more than 20 projects in this quarter too. We got more than 200 applications within 2 weeks across the globe, and we selected 19 different projects. And these projects will be deployed on Asta, and by using Sony's internal resource, we are going to incubate Web3 projects across the globe. And this incubation program is the first batch, but we are going to do second batch, third batch, and so on. So if you are interested, please follow our Twitter or my Twitter and apply. I think Sony is the most promising company in terms of Web3. They have a car, they have a bank, they have a music, obviously game. So I'm super excited to work with Sony. And last one is Toyota. Toyota is the car company, so which is not super related to Web3. But they also would like to push Web3 forward. 1 month ago, we announced the Web3 hackathon sponsored by Toyota on Asta. Toyota has very many employees across the globe. So the title, the mission during the hackathon is to make DAO-ish product for Toyota employees. And we have successfully done the hackathon, and we got more than 424 applications within months, and more than 47 projects deployed on Asta, and we selected 8 projects together with Toyota. So Asta is currently push the innovation of Japan. And this is interesting use case we announced yesterday. We collaborate with Calbee, which is the largest potato chips company in Japan. Everyone is eating Calbee potato chips. Probably some of you know the potato chips there. I saw these potato chips in Hong Kong too. They're gonna distribute NFT through these potato chips. And this potato chips is very famous in Japan, and you can purchase almost all grocery store and convenience store in Japan, in Tokyo. So if you go to the Ethereum Tokyo, happening this week, please visit convenience store and purchase NFT. And half of Japanese people have eaten these potato chips in their life. So yeah, we are considering how to do a better marketing in a Web3 era. So Web1 is the card attached on potato chips, like baseball card or anime card, and so on. And Web 2 is like scanning QR code. So what is Web 3? So what we are doing right now is the scanning the Calbee bag with Web 3 wallet. After eating potato chips, you can make potato chips smaller and then scan the code on the top of potato chips bag. And then if you scanned, NFT will be distributed. And you can get seed, just like this. And if you eat again, second time, the seed is growing. Right? You can cultivate the seed by eating a lot of the potato chips, which is not healthy. So, and if you eat 5 times, you can get character. The seed is growing, and you can get a character like this. And if you have that character, you can prove the loyalty of the Calbee on chain, on the top of blockchains. And a lot of the Calbee goods will be distributed to you if you have this NFT. And if we are going to Ethereum Tokyo, I will be going today. And we have a Web3 events in Tokyo together with Microsoft, Alchemy, Parity, and Shibuya City on 16th. So please visit if you come. And also 1inch. This is our plan for quarter 3. The first one is redesign our token economics. And second one is bootstrap our WebAssembly economics, WebAssembly ecosystem. And third one is onboard more and more legendary Japanese company and Asia company on Asta network. And fourth one is improving UX and UI. So conclusion. I feel strong energy in Hong Kong, and I'm super excited to work with all of you guys. And I think 2023 and 2024 is the age of Asia in Web3. So we have a significant opportunity and potential. So let's make the most of the opportunity. And the Web3 is the movement. It's not only by Asta, but also all of you guys. So I would like to make Web3 utilized in a society together. If you have any question, feel free to reach out to me on Twitter, Telegram, whatever. Thank you very much. Shay.
Thank you. Arigato, Mr. Watanabe. Thank you so much, Mr. Watanabe, for your valuable sharing. So next up, may I invite Mr. Daiwen, Head of Solutions Architecture Greater China Region AWS, to deliver a keynote speech. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Mr. Daiwen. Mr. Daiwen, please.
Hi. Good morning. So it's great to be here, and especially after the first party night, and still so many people. I appreciate that you're here and have my session today. So my name is Wen. I lead the solutions architect team in Greater China. And our job is to help our customers, including the startups, and as well as the enterprise, to grow, not only in Web 2, but also in the Web 3. And today, my topic is about how AWS can help you in the Web 3 infrastructure. So first of all, we have a mission in Web 3. That is, we want to empower all the builders to redefine the internet. And we have been in this area from the very, very early stage of Web 3. And you can see this page shows only a portion of all the partners, startups, and even some enterprises. We can see that in this domain, across layer 1 and layer 2 chains, and also some other startups focusing on this, Web 3 industry and business. And so how did they get this successful journey or progress in Web 3? In summary, we can see 4 parts that we can offer to you and to all the other Web 3 startups. That is, first of all, we want to help all the Web 3 startups and business organizations make decisions faster with world-class infrastructure and go global to gain the visibility in minutes. This is very critical for all the Web3 startups and the enterprise organizations, because as long as the application is launched, it is facing the access from all over the world, and to have the world-class infrastructure and gain availability worldwide is so critical. And we also help the Web3 startups, especially the 2B Web3 startups, for example, the SaaS3 organizations. We help them to build go-to-market strategies and also the partnerships to accelerate their progress in the Web3 ecosystem. This is critical for them, and this is also what we are doing to accelerate the whole progress from Web2 to Web3. And last but not least, security is job zero, and it is so important for all the Web3 startups. And we have the technical products as well as solutions to help everyone strengthen the security as well as the compliance across the countries. And as it's known to all, why there's event like this in Hong Kong, and one of the most important reasons is that we have the friendly, or we have the positive regulatory environment, and you need a partner to comply to all the regulation compliances. So let's go through them one by one. First, let's talk about world-class infrastructure and how you can leverage this to gain a global visibility. So I know this is the fundamental of all the compute resources, but I will go through them quickly. And AWS now provides a global infrastructure with 31 launch regions, 99 availability zones, with over 450 points of presence. That's the network POPs. So this infrastructure is also well connected with the global network. And you can also connect the AWS infrastructure to other cloud providers and even to local data centers with a product called Direct Connect. You can leverage the private lines from ISP to connect them up so that you can really achieve a distributed and worldwide infrastructure to host the applications. And the offerings is not only about the infrastructure, but also about the upper level application and machine learning and analytics offerings. So you can see in the core compute infrastructure part, we provide core services across compute, serverless, containers, and IoT. And on top of that, security. Again, security is very important. We provide a full portfolio in security, and I will go through one of the top products that worth your attention. It's the Nitro Enclave. I will go through that later. And secondly, regarding the storage system and the API, this is very important. And in fact, if we view the blockchain from a higher abstraction layer, blockchain is also a distributed database, and it's also a distributed storage. So we provide the storage system and APIs across the network, and we also provide different types of storage across the object ones and also the NoSQL database and the RDBMS that can help you to build applications not only in the not only in a decentralized way, but also build some applications in a centralized way to do the analytics and then go back to the distributed networks. And regarding the machine learning analytics, there are many offerings. And one of the products I want to share with you is the Amazon Managed Blockchain Service. You can pull up a node, for example, an Ethereum node, by this service, and it is fully managed by AWS so that you can run it freely and you can pull out the data and do analytics on demand. This is very critical because many Web3 startups have limited resources in the engineering. We just want Web3 startups to focus on the core application and the core business instead of building up the nodes and do the hands-on work around the configuration. Again, that is undifferentiated work that you can definitely offload to the cloud providers like AWS. And there's a startup called NoReal. I think maybe many of you have known it. And NoReal has built their platform and built their solutions with AWS. And just as Jimmy from NoReal said, the high performance of the global network and the cloud services provided by AWS help NoReal go global and also achieve the vision of making the Web3 real in time. And NoReal can also provide 2B services in Web3. And another example is about the Phantom, which was established in 2018, and it is doing business in layer 1. And Phantom, we supported Phantom business not only with the products, but also the technical expertise support to them. We run out a program called Data Lab, and that Data Lab provides engineers working with Phantom closely to build decentralized applications in analytics. And besides the offerings that can help the Web3 startups and enterprise organizations go fast, we are paying efforts to figure out how to build go-to-market strategies for Web3 startups and how to build a partnership in Web3 to push the progress and accelerate the growth. And actually, there are specially designed programs for Web3 startups. And this is fabulous, and this is very, very helpful for the starters in Web3. First of all, we provide cloud resources to the Web3 startups, and you can start building with the cloud resources we provide freely, and then you can leverage the solutions architect team I lead to build the POC to verify some application architecture. And after that, we have the channels in the ecosystem to help you build a go-to-market strategy, especially for the 2B services or 2B Web3 startups. And last but not least, we have the resources to help you get an explorer to the investor community, and we have the startup mentorship to help you find a mentor in your business. And especially about the go-to-market, I think maybe some of you are interested in it. So we have a network called Amazon Partner Network, APN. It was originally developed in the Web 2 era, and there are many Web 2 companies, naming Web 2 companies in this network. For example, the big unicorns like the Databricks, and also successful analytics companies like Snowflake, etc. They leverage this ecosystem to acquire new users. So now we extend this partner network to Web3. You can see all these startups are leveraging this network to find partnership and to acquire new growth and new customers. And especially we have marketplace. This marketplace was also built in a Web 2 era, but now there are more and more Web3 startups deploying products or offering products in this marketplace. So they are just like Avalanche Labs does. If you provide a template in this marketplace, any user in this world can just launch a node on your chain with a simple click and via very simple configurations. This is very important. And we also treat the partner offerings like this as a very good supplementary part to the Amazon Managed Blockchain Services, so that all the customers, all the users around this world, all the developers around this world can launch a node easily in the cloud vendor, not only via the managed services by the cloud providers, but also via the third-party offerings from all the 2B companies in Web3 era. And last, I want to talk about security and compliance. It's very, very important for Web3. Just as I mentioned, why we are so happy to get together here is the top reason is that we have the positive compliance environment. And besides that, we need to pay attention to the security technologies. So first of all, if you choose an infrastructure provider, no matter it is a cloud provider or a data center, you should examine the compliance, regulation compliance status of that provider. So after 17 years development, AWS now provide regulatory compliance across many different countries and areas. You can see there are many certifications from different countries and also some global standards. So this is critical when you launch an application on the platform. And then with this compliant infrastructure platform, you can focus on the compliance of your application. And this is very important when we connect the Web3 applications to the real world and meet the regulatories across the different countries or geos. And besides that, the security technology is also very important. We accumulated portfolios in identity and access management, detected controls, infrastructure protection, data protection, incident response, and compliance, as I mentioned. So the portfolio I list here means that we start from customer requirements. You know, in the very beginning of AWS, there's very few products in this domain, and we noticed that many customers paying attention to the security. So we work backward and build all these products, and that means each product is already verified and validated by many customers. And so as long as you put these products in your environments, it is a mature product, not something that AWS built by imagination. But this is real customer requirements, and we build them and verified by the customer communities. And as a highlight, I want to talk about the Nitro Enclave. This is a revolutionary, fabulous, and super helpful feature for all the Web3 companies and startups. So the Web3 application is based on technologies, distributed technologies around blockchain, and the protection to the private key is so important, so critical for all of us. And this protection is not only about defend ourselves against the external attacks, but also defend the server, defend all the application from internal attacks. So now, Nitro Enclave provides a technology that can help you run the sensitive code as an application in a purely isolated environment. And this environment is supported by the hardware with acceleration. And this isolated environment just shows as a process in the home or hosted virtual machine. That is the EC2 instance on the left-hand side. So that all the interaction between the home instance and the isolated environment is encrypted. And only the isolated environment can handle your private key with plain text. And there is also no storage in this isolated environment. So it is so important that from the home virtual machine, no matter someone attacked you from externally or some internal person just doing some bad things from internally, they cannot get your private key. This is so important. And we are more than happy that so many Web3 startups across the crypto, Web3, and decentralized apps and NFT, many organizations and startups leverage this feature to enhance the security to protect the private keys. I highly recommend that you have a look at this to protect all the information and the critical assets. And as I mentioned, Crypto.com, a very important exchange as well as a Web3 player, not only leverage AWS as an infrastructure and data platform provider, but also leverage the Nitro Enclave to do the protection for the private keys, and also they have an end-to-end security mechanism and platform built on AWS. So that's nearly all of my sharing today, and we have gone through the journey of be successful in Web3 era, and we should make decisions with faster, with world-class infrastructure, and go globally and gain visibility in minutes. And AWS can help you build a go-to-market and partnerships across the Web3 ecosystem. And last but not least, strengthening the security and the compliance. And there are so many Web3 startups outside this hall in the exhibition. And I want to say something to you and to if you are founding up a Web3 startup or doing some attempts. You know, although this domain is blooming, it is still very important to focus on the problems in the real world. We should solve the real problems in the real world, and we should create value to the business, to the society. And that is what Web3 is expected to do. And secondly, I hope that when you get enough funding from venture capital or from any capital, you can focus on your core application and core business and just offload the undifferentiated work or duplicate work to cloud providers. Why? That is not only about selling, but you know, from a upper level, macro abstraction layer of the society, when we offload this undifferentiated work to cloud provider, we get better sustainability for this area and for this society. And thirdly, I hope that we can work together to go through all these journeys and redefine the internet. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dai Wen, for your inspirational speech. Thank you very much. So coming up next, may I invite Mr. Avery Cheng, co-founder and chief technology officer of Aptos, to share with us online a keynote speech. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Mr. Avery Cheng, please.
Hi, my name is Avery Cheng. I'm co-founder and CTO at Aptos Labs, and I'm delighted to be here at the Hong Kong Web3 Festival of 2023. In an interesting coincidence, I was here back 20 years ago in 2003, talking about high-performance computing and clustering. Today, I'll be discussing the Aptos blockchain and how we believe this is an important piece of mainstream Web3 infrastructure. The mission of Aptos is about building and scaling the decentralized internet for everyone. Our team comes from a long history of builders and creators and researchers from the Libra DM project at Meta. Many of us have been very passionate about the Web3 space for a long time and inspired by the ideas of Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other technologies for decentralized infrastructure. And in 2018, we tried to solve the problems of how do you get billions of people to adopt this technology and its benefits. And we've been building since then and are excited about the technology we're bringing forward into the future. We believe there are some key components that are missing from this technology being widely adopted by both developers as well as users. And the three things that we want to bring to the table are intuitive experiences, instant response times, and inexpensive costs. Here we'd like to focus on some of our core design decisions. In 2018, we tried to tackle some of the problems of how do you onboard billions of people from Meta into the Web3 space in a safe and scalable way. And with that in mind, we came up with the idea of a new language called Move, as well as a new blockchain called the DM blockchain. And the idea was putting these two together would bring together the benefits of infrastructure that scales to billions. And focusing on a couple of key points. So first of all, a new smart contracts platform that could get the time from programmers to thinking of ideation all the way to production was really important, and how to do so in a safe and scalable manner. The second point is how do you build a systems infrastructure that can support the needs of billions of people, similar to the way that cloud computing does today? When you think about where we are as a technology platform for blockchain, all the blockchains in the world can't do what a single MySQL server can do in terms of throughput and latency. It takes hundreds of thousands, if not millions of these servers to do a single internet application, such as YouTube or Netflix, or support things like Instagram or Facebook. And so we have a long way to go in terms of industry, technology adoption, as well as evolution to get to that point in time. And we want our users to be able to come with us on that journey. So upgradability and configurability are very important. The great thing about building Move and the blockchain at the same time was that we were able to design Move in a way to be upgraded, both from a programming perspective, as well as a smart contracts platform as well. And same thing for the blockchain itself, to be changed through the evolution of new technology advances. We believe that high throughput, low latency, and efficient hardware utilization is really important. And then with that in mind, we designed a new modular and pipeline approach to transaction processing. Most importantly is that we don't forget about the ideas of databases that have come before us. And so taking advantage of some of those techniques around something called block STM and optimistic concurrency control has been something that can support atomicity with arbitrarily complex transactions as well as parallel transaction processing. In the future, we're exploring many different opportunities for how we shard and scale to large numbers of transaction workloads, as well as maintaining low latencies. An intuitive and safer experience is one of the key blockers to widestream adoption today. We want to be able to support and solve some of the earliest problems in the space, which is primarily around how do you custody keys. The Aptos blockchain today supports different kinds of key rotation techniques as well as recovery. First of all, we decouple the public keys from addresses, and this allows us to support key rotation. We support crypto agility, which means we can get many different types of signature schemes to support different user requirements, from consumer experiences to enterprise experiences. And finally, smart contract recovery is an important part of the Aptos blockchain, where things like semi-custodial models can be considered. The idea that a user that loses access to their private key can also allow that key to be recovered through a smart contract after a certain time has passed by a custodian they trust, while maintaining control of that account while they continue to use the blockchain on a day-to-day basis or say a monthly basis, is a really interesting model that can be considered with something like Aptos. The other thing that we think is important for safer experiences is that today people can sign transactions quite blindly and be subject to phishing attacks and other types of social disasters. And so human real-world transactions where users can see exactly what's transpiring, as shown in this example, what the network fees are, what the actual changes on the chain are going to be, as well as the actual costs and what's going to be transferred, are really important for a safer experience. When you think also about the transactions that are signed, those transactions are typically viable indefinitely in many cases. With the signature and the live transaction out in the public, it can be executed at any different time. We add different kinds of limits to make sure those transactions are going to be protected for users with sequence numbers as well as expiration times. And finally, be able to prove that transactions have occurred on chain in a timely fashion through like-line proofs and fine-grained recency timestamps is an important part of that safe experience and also supports auditing. We're really excited about Move as a new way to think about programming in smart contracts platform. Move was designed from the ground up as a smart contracts language and not a general purpose one. It is deterministic. It has metered execution to prevent denial of service attacks. It has shared data usage between contracts, as well as supports autonomous accounts. One of the key concepts of Move that is, it provides additional safety is the idea about resource conservation. So if you have a concept like a coin, you can treat it as a coin as opposed to an integer. You don't multiply it, you don't add it, you don't just forget about it in a function call. The coin can't be subject to those kind of issues and bugs for programmers. And this is an evolving language. This is something that has been changing a lot over the last 5 years and can continue evolving for the different kinds of application use cases that we see now, and also use cases we want to see in the future. So we can support things like higher level inline functions for collections, resource groups, and a way for a program to optimize the way the storage of logical concepts is put into physical manifestation, as well as move objects, which is an easier way of composing different types of elements together and providing relationships between them. Upgradability is a key concept for the Aptos blockchain. Upgrading frequently is something that is very important to make sure that users are taken through the journey, not just for today and tomorrow, but well into the future. It could be new use cases, it could be new technology that need to be changed to support either faster throughput, lower latency, or even support against forward-thinking cryptography attacks. And so one of the key concepts is that the Aptos blockchain stores a lot of its state on chain. And that means that when clients sync up to date, they automatically get notification of those changes, whether it's going to be a new consensus protocol, a new proof generation format, or a new signature scheme. Governance tooling around this is really important to facilitate these changes in a decentralized environment. And upgradability has been not something that's been thought of as a nice to have, but something that we've tested well over the years. In the DM mainnet, we upgraded these processes in the framework multiple times, consensus upgrades as well, and with no downtime and to users at all. We've also been upgrading the network very frequently since launch. 1.2 was released in February, 1.3 released in March, and we have a plan for 1.4 released in the April-May timeframe. One of our secrets to high throughput and low latency is really about our core design of the infrastructure itself and taking advantage of what we call pipelining and modularity. We have 5 different unique stages of transaction processing. The first stage is continuous transaction dissemination. And the idea is that validators are continuously gathering transactions from the external world and sending blocks of transactions to other validators and producing a proof of availability. The next phase is that as validators are receiving these blocks in parallel, they start to order them via a consensus protocol. Now, the important point here is that the consensus protocol does not need to even have the block data. It just needs to understand the metadata of the block. It does not also execution of the transactions. And this means that the ordering itself is incredibly fast. The next phase of the operations is around parallel execution. Validators execute these transactions in parallel through the optimistic concurrency control and block STM. And this is a technique which supports both the kind of complex transactions you like to have as a programmer, as well as the high throughput that's necessary for large user adoption of workloads. The next phase after that is taking advantage of batch operations. Writing one byte at a time to a storage device is incredibly slow and inefficient due to system call overheads, as well as not taking advantage, as well as the high seek times. Batching these operations together is much better in terms of the throughput for the system, and that's something that we take advantage of. And finally, the last phase is around state proof certification, which means we generate the proofs that are necessary and the data structures for light clients to be supporting quick and easy update checks of validity of the data being processed, as well as state changes that have been propagated to chain. Block STM stands for software transactional memory, and it takes advantage of optimistic concurrency control from databases, a technique used widely for decades now. The idea is that rather than having programmers have to specify the dependencies of the transactions up front and limiting the flexibility in what those transactions can do because they have to specify those dependencies up front, programmers have the freedom to build construction transactions and changes in data however they want to. And the runtime will then examine these transactions at execution time and determine what can be parallelized and what cannot be. It's an optimistic approach. It can also be augmented with more data from users if they want to specify those dependencies, but it can also be standalone. And this technique has been shown to be extremely scalable as per our benchmarks in the past. It uses a multi-version data structure in order to support the actual implementation of it. And what we've seen in practice is, again, the more cores you have, the better performance you're going to see, and in linear fashion. The Aptos ecosystem has been moving very quickly. On launch day in October, more than 30 projects came live all at once, and that was really exciting to see from an ecosystem perspective. Today, 5+ months later, there are more than 100 projects live, with hundreds more waiting in the wings. Thousands of NFTs have been created by thousands of collectors, and the Aptos core protocol has received contributions from more than 500 developers. Mainnet has seen millions of addresses created, and perhaps most importantly, the mainnet finality times have been sub-second, not just according to us, but also according to the recent Masari report, which showed Aptos having the lowest finality times in production. We're also really excited about the interesting number of institutions and applications built on top of the protocol, from gaming to custody to infrastructure to social media companies. We've seen a lot of folks being really excited about the technology that comes to the table with Aptos and about what they can build in this space. Our main focus in 2022 was launching the network. We began this process in March by launching our developer network and understanding how people felt about development in the Aptos blockchain. We were excited to see hundreds of developers starting to ask questions in our Discord channel about how to build AMMs, how to build NFT marketplaces, as well as wallet infrastructure. We also saw thousands of full nodes being connected to our network in just the weeks that followed. In May, we launched our first incentivized testnet. It was about bootstrapping the network with tens of different validator operators. In July, we were able to launch our staking process and program for those validators and test out the functionality there. In August, we tested out governance upgrades. And finally, in October, we were able to launch the mainnet And that's when we were excited to see 30 plus applications come live within the first day. 2023 has been really about how do we also develop both the ecosystem and infrastructure at the same time, and do so and deliver upon our promise of upgradability being a key differentiator for Aptos. And we've been able to hold those promises so far. In February, we launched our first 1.2 upgrade, in March 1.3, and we are excited to see 1.4 coming live in April and May. On the Move side, we've seen some really cool things, such as higher Lambda primitives and operations. We've seen new upgrades to the framework, new crypto primitives and that support zero knowledge proof verification on chain amongst a variety of different schemes, as well as different kinds of hashing functions, as well as signature schemes being live in the network as well. We're also really excited about the Quorum Store, which is kind of our first iteration of the disseminated data distribution for transactions that will increase throughput significantly. Developer tooling is also improved. We have a plugin for IntelliJ and also one coming for VS Code in the near future. And on the starting point, we expect to be developing interesting prototypes that will test alongside our community going forward. We'd love you to get involved with the Aptos community. The first and easiest way is really through the Aptos Improvement Proposals website. Join the GitHub discussion, propose different ideas, whether with respect to protocol changes, infrastructure changes, or ideas you have with respect to different types of application needs. We've seen a variety of different proposals from the community, and we're super excited about the progress we've made in this space with over 20 AIPs currently in progress. We also keep track of ecosystem projects at this particular GitHub link. Feel free to add yourself as a project to that list. You'll see hundreds of others there alongside you. Our team is very active on Twitter, Medium, as well as Discord, and here's some links for checking that out as well. With that, thank you very much for listening to my presentation, and we hope you have a great time in Hong Kong.
Thank you, Mr. Avery Cheng, for the online keynote. So a gentle reminder for all of you today. The morning session provides simultaneous interpretation. You can use WeChat, Twitter, browser, etc. to scan the QR code of simultaneous interpretation on the signage at the entrance of each venue, or the conference brochure, and listen to simultaneous interpretation through your mobile phone. 那各位嘉宾呢？开幕仪式呢提供同声传译服务，你们可以扫描会看手册，或者是各会场的门口的二维码，可以通过手机收听。So, ladies and gentlemen, to keep things interactive, we now have the first roundtable forum of today with the interesting topic on Web3 infrastructure. Ladies and gentlemen, may I now invite Ms. Curve Chang, Ecological Partner of Particle Network, to be the moderator of the Roundtable Forum. Also, I would like to invite our speakers on stage. Ren Yi, co-founder and CEO of Orderly Network. Andrew Lee, Blockchain Investment Technology Director of Osvic Capital. Veronica Wong, CEO and co-founder of SafePal. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a warm welcome to all our speakers on stage. Our speakers today will share their insights and ideas on the topic Web3 infrastructure. Let's give them a round of applause. So now I'll pass the floor to our roundtable moderator. Over to you, Curve.
Okay, thank you. Hi, everyone. Welcome to this panel. I'm Curve, and I'm the ecosystem manager over at Particle Network. So maybe just as an intro into what Particle Network does, before I move over to the panelists, we basically provide comprehensive solutions for application development. So we provide SDKs for all the different things such as Web3 authentication, wallet as a service, NFT solutions, node service, and many other things as well. For today, the panel topic would be overcoming challenges as infrastructure providers. So very happy to pass the time over to the panelists to give a brief introduction of themselves.
Hi, I'm Rand from Orderly Network. Great to be here. Orderly is a decentralized order book infrastructure. So just think decentralized Binance, the liquidity layer, where dApps can be built on top to provide trading functions and trading utility for their users.
Hello, everyone. I'm Andrew Lee from Oswald Capital. First of all, thank you, HashKey and my boss, Mr. Chen, for giving me the opportunity to sit here. It's a great honor to join the panel. And Oswald Capital is a crypto SA started investing in crypto since 2014. Our boss, Mr. Chen, is a real crypto OG. He invested in crypto from 2014. And we actually have already invested in several famous blockchain projects. For example, Definity, Certix, Circle, Animoca Brand, Perdista Blockchain, etc. And we are strategic investors are trying to bring values to the project, and we grow with the project. And if you are interested to know more, please feel free to reach us at this venture. Thank you.
Hi everyone, this is Veronica, CEO and co-founder of SafePal, a cryptocurrency non-custodial wallet that's now serving more than 10 million users global-wide. So we offer safe and easy-to-use wallet solutions for people to choose from, including hardware wallets, mobile wallets, and browser extension. So far, we support 56 blockchains and still adding more. And we allow users to secure, manage, swap, trade, and grow their crypto assets in a few clicks within the SafePal app. So we do have a booth at B10 right behind us. So feel free to drop by if you are ever interested in using a safe and secure and easy-to-use crypto wallet. Thank you.
Okay, we'd like to ask the panelists. So from the perspective of a decentralized trading infrastructure, crypto wallet suite, as well as a VC, what do you think are some of the biggest challenges when it comes to onboarding the next billion users to Web3 seamlessly and securely? And maybe as well, how are your projects solving this? Maybe Ryan, you can start first, and then we can go down the line.
Okay. I think there are a lot of issues, especially with onboarding, which I believe SafePal is resolving. For us, we're liquidity infrastructure. So that solves the pain points of giving really cheap access, liquidity to users, DeFi users, for any asset, any sort of asset, and having an easy plugin for liquidity for any DApp that wants trading liquidity for their users. So just imagine, again, like a decentralized Binance where assets can be listed in a permissionless manner, perhaps even derivatives. I mean, there will be geofencing depending on where the users are, but they have easy access. The builders also have easy access to any asset, in the world. It starts with crypto, right? But as real-world assets becomes a thing and gets tokenized, that will eventually be added as well. So just imagine a pool of assets for anything, and these assets can be used as collateral. Users can trade these assets through their favorite applications, whether it's a swap, whether it's a order book, whether it's an app like a social app like StepN. Everything is interoperable on DeFi. So we want to become the multi-chain liquidity layer, and that's the problem that we're solving.
I think there are several hurdles or problems in different layers. Because as I always say, I see the problems from the overview. And for example, in the assets control layer, we really need a user-friendly assets control layer of projects. For example, wallets, smart contract wallets, account abstractions, such kind of thing, to onboard new users easily. We also need more efficient smart contract execution layer. For example, higher TPS, low latencies, and also more important is the lower gas fees, so that users will could be able to use it more efficiently. And we may also need some decentralized storage layer or data layer, for example, decentralized storage or decentralized database or decentralized indexing for the project and for the users so that the Web3 can support more dynamic Web3 applications. For example, social, game, and creator economy related applications. Those applications are very typical Web3 applications besides DeFi. And I think if there is a Web3, and those applications should get massive adoption. And besides this, I also think that we should try to solve the contradictions between the compliance or the regulations with the user privacy, which is the core value of the Web3. I guess the zero-knowledge proof technologies is very promising to reconcile both of this. Yeah, I guess that's what I could think of about the hurdles. Yeah.
Very good point.
Thank you.
Veronica?
Yeah. I will answer from two perspectives. Firstly, from a wallet builder perspective. So we are seeing a lot of onboarding hurdles for users starting from fiat on-ramp. So how do I even buy my first Bitcoin using my credit card and debit card? The second question will become, how the hell am I going to get the gas fee token? And what is the so-called gas fee token so that I can make my first transactions? So these are the critical onboarding issues that we are seeing throughout the whole journey of the user life of using their crypto. So we feel that removing the hurdles of private key C storage would be the critical and also the trending topics that we are going to see for this year and next year. This is also something that we are particularly very interested in. And we are also hands-on and solving those problems. The second perspective would be from a Web3 builder perspective. We need more users. So we need more users. We need more interesting applications built on top of blockchains. We now are seeing cryptocurrency as the major application, so-called application on blockchain. But what about the other ones? Like, what about the games? What about metaverse, right? What about some kind of very engaging applications that can really bring the Web2 users into the world? You mean like when there is a very interesting application built on top of blockchain, then people are going to conquer whatever hurdles, whatever difficulties there are. They're going to find ways. They're going to do OTC, right, to buy their crypto, whatever. So I think it's really the application level of innovation that is driving the mass adoption of user growth. So if there's any application builders here, congratulations, you are in a very early stage, and we need you guys. So I think from a Web3 builder perspective, we need to see more interesting applications built on top of blockchains that can really attract the next wave of internet users into Web3, so we can see the flourish and prospective future of Web3. So so these are the two angles that I have.
Thank you. Yeah, very good points by all the panelists. Another question we have is in the past few years, we've seen how relying on just one single blockchain or just one single infrastructure, it provides a lot of risks as well as vulnerabilities to the Web3 projects that are built upon them. So you can see all the various hacks throughout the past months and years, or even secure kind of hacks or blockchain crashes and everything. So as coming from a Web3 project point of view, what do you think are some of the biggest risks and vulnerabilities that they need to look out for when choosing an infrastructure provider? Yeah.
Yeah, so from our perspective as infrastructure, we're not the gateway, but so the chain is really important, right? So we're de facto multi-chain. And our other project, Woo, it has a DEX that's multi-chain on 6 different EVM chains, going to 8. Orderly will also be multi-chain. It's starting off with Near. So the chain is very important, right? And it, there's going to be chains that kind of die off, and then new ones that come up. So then the applications will be multi-chain applications, and we're kind of like a middle layer between the applications and the chains where we sit. It's kind of similar to layer 0, and I believe a lot of the applications in the future will be multi-chain, and the cross-chain transactions and messages will be very seamless, and the users don't know that they're dealing with many different chains. I think that's kind of the development. So then when we pick the chains that we choose to be on, that's very important for us. Obviously, there's different risks with each different chain. So I think that's kind of the largest the largest risk for us. And then everything upgrades, and the chains will evolve. There's new ones popping up in different languages, like the Move language chains. Aside from Solidity, there's the Rust language chains. So everything is different. So navigating this and building a cohesive application on top is kind of where we're at currently.
And maybe to touch on that as well, for a project that's choosing maybe their first chain to build on, do you have any tips or what are some of the considerations that they might want to think of?
Yeah, for a builder, I think the obvious things to look for are, well, I can speak for DeFi, is like TVL, volumes. These are signs of activity, right? And track record for the chain. So, for example, now Arbitrum is a very hot chain, so that's a layer 2 on Ethereum. And I think ecosystem support is very important for builders, right? Any sort of marketing, grants, investments for the projects. That's extremely important to get started. I mean, at Orderly, we actually give grants and investments to the builders who build on top as well, in the form of our tokens or in just monetary ways. I mean, we raised $20 million back in 2021 for us. So for builders, it's the support, it's obviously the tech behind the chain, and also the amount of activity indicated by the metrics on top. Yeah.
Thank you. Andrew, maybe coming from a VC perspective, what are some of the biggest risks and vulnerabilities that Web3 projects might want to look out for?
You mean the risk, right?
Yeah, maybe, just your experience.
From the VC point of view, as a crypto-native guys, I think many of the risks of the Web3 comes from or due to the centralization of certain layers or certain applications or certain projects. For example, centralized exchange last year, FTS, something like all of them about centralized exchange. And centralized RPC, for example, many of the RPCs are controlled by maybe 1 or 2 companies, for example, Infura. If those centralized companies just broke down, then many of the wallets cannot perform well. This is one centralized risk. Another centralized risk may be, for example, centralized data storage. If the centralized database. And besides this, I also think the second one is that anything related to the private key is very, very important and should be take very cautious steps to protect the user and the project. For example, last year some wallets the implementation about the cryptography is not good, and they link the private key of the user. Then basically all the asset of the user just got stolen. So for projects, they should take very, very cautious implementation skills about the private keys to use the battle-tested crypto libraries. Do not implement by yourself to write some very low-level crypto primitives. And for the users, I think do not approve your transactions blindly on some cautious applications or websites, because you don't know someday while you are sleeping and you didn't remove your authorization and your asset just got stolen or rug pull, something like this. So, and sometimes you may also need to check or remove your approve of the wallets on some of the projects if you don't use the project frequently. That's my take and my advice. Thank you.
Thank you. Veronica?
Since we built SafePal 5 years ago, I was asked by the same question twice. That still impressed me till today. That is, Veronica, what is the one thing that keeps you up at night? So my answer is, the first thing would be we got hacked. That's one thing that keeps me up at night. Second would be our infrastructure partners got hacked. So this is a very interesting question because now we are seeing a single point of failure gradually evolving into a systematic risks. It's not because something that you did badly. It's because your partners did, or it's because somebody or some teams you work with kind of have a giant leak hole that kind of drag you in together. We are kind of very cautious of that. So as SafePal built cross-chain experience, so we have been partnering with a lot of projects and teams and layer 1s and layer 2s in the way. So we have been very cautious of the partners that we work with, especially when talking about bringing the user experience into the wallet. Like for example, building cross-chain swap, we do need liquidity providers. Building bridge, building trading experiences, we do need to work with a lot of different partners. So we become very cautious about not rushing into something very new. And we are always speculative and suspicious of some new technologies that are still in the infancy and still growing. So we tend to hold back a little bit because in Web3, user demands are moving very fast. Like every day we receive users asking for very new, trending, that kind of fancy features, like support this chain, support that chain, and then add this one and that one. So we tend to be more rational of picking what we are really building into the products and what are the partners that we work with. So I think that is something that has to be bear in mind by a lot of projects. And do bear in mind that everything could be hacked. So you don't really know when someday you're actually walking on a path that have a lot of moving blocks. So I think that is kind of a very dangerous status of a lot of projects and builders, etc. So it is indeed an adventure, but also a lot of risks involved. So I think it's more of a mentality and mindset that we need to bear in mind that you can't trust blindly upon everyone. Let the time speak for itself. Let the product speak for itself. Let it grow for a little bit first, and then we can come back later if the time is right. So I think that is more of a mindset to remind everyone don't rush into anything so fast and so quickly. Even for a retail investor perspective, that is also the same, right? So yeah, I think it's more of a mindset that we have to bear in mind. Yeah.
Yeah, very, very good points. I think, these panelists have many years of experience and just reminds us that, in a space where there's so many innovations, so many fast things going on, it's quite important to, just go back to the basics. What are some of the important considerations you want to remember when you're building a Web3 project? So on that note, maybe I'll just deep dive into each of the project and let some of the founders share a bit more about, what their projects are doing. So the first question is for Ran Yi. So as we all know, there are many on-chain order book dexes in the space, and they have failed due to many reasons such as exploits, hacks, high costs, and everything. So wanted to understand a bit more about how Orderly Network is solving issues around security, cost, as well as high speed, especially in the DeFi projects.
Yeah, so, our background is that we were traders. We created one company called Kronos Research that's high-frequency trading, and then Wu Network. Wu Network has a centralized and decentralized exchange. And the path has been more and more DeFi, more and more decentralized for us. So hence, Wu incubated Orderly Network along with Near, which is fully decentralized order book infrastructure. And I'm heading that up. And the idea is that DeFi is very early, right? We have a lot of frictions with onboarding, infrastructure. The costs are high. The chains are not, it doesn't have high performance, and it's getting better. But we imagine a world where later on the DeFi applications have the same experience as CeFi, if not better, with Web3 tokenomics, Web3 incentives. So instead of traditional Web2 applications where the founding team and the investors make all the money post-listing, and we as users are only users of the product, the Web3 applications will incentivize everything, right? So then the early adopters and the builders can actually contribute and profit and generate high returns from their contributions. And that's the true nature of Web3. And this whole process is on the blockchain in a very transparent way. And that's what we want to do at Orderly for the world of trading. So again, just imagine decentralized Binance. So you as a user, if you're a trader, you want to deposit and withdraw from your favorite chain, right? A native token. You don't want to deposit wrapped Matic from Avalanche or even ETH, right? You want to do it from Polygon, and withdrawal, it's the same, right? You want a seamless application where you can actually do that. So just again, imagine some of the centralized exchanges today. You want to have a seamless trading experience, low friction. You don't want too many clicks when you're signing. You want very easy onboarding from your favorite wallet, a fiat on-ramp, or just a trading app, or just a social application, because it'll all be integrated in the Web3 world. And you want to be incentivized for what you're doing, right? Whether you're a builder or you're a trader or you're just a general user, you want to gain for being an early participant. You want to be able to contribute and to take hold in governance. So this is the kind of world that we're imagining, and it's going to be multi-chain, right? And that's kind of what we're building and what we're solving for. And the whole experience will improve with better onboarding, account abstractions via on-ramps, and better performance for the layer 2s, the layer 3s, and what's coming. So we imagine this for CeFi, for crypto, and later on for all of finance, right? As that whole process moves on chain. There will be permissions, there will be compliance, KYC, but I think it's all going to happen. It's already happening, where all the banks and the securities brokers come in, especially with real-world assets. Our latest investor is Nomura Securities with their Laser Digital, as we work on the institutional DeFi side with them. So we're trying to build the most transparent liquidity infrastructure, for the world, for Web3, and all the stakeholders are incentivized for that. Yeah, so that's kind of what we're trying to do.
Thank you. So maybe Andrew, just want to pick your brains as a VC. So what are some of the key considerations that as Oswick VC might have when it comes to evaluating Web3 projects? And second question as well, I wanted to ask for any projects fundraising during this period of time, what are some of the things that they should look out for and any tips for that?